Welcome, welcome. This is Rashana Scott, and this is the Flippin and Hills prestigious Women in Real Estate Virtual Summit. And I'm so excited because today we have a very, very, very special guest, Miss Jane Bond, all the way in Naples, Florida. Hey, Jane.
Hey, Rashana. How you doing?
I'm good. Thanks so much for joining us.
Oh, I'm excited. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, yes, yes. So Jane is a phenomenal broker associate slash life coach slash successful $1 million agent. She's has 10 years in the business, 10 years to present, and she's just loaded, loaded, loaded with a wealth of information. So we are actually just gonna jump right in. If that's okay with you, Jane.
All right, I'm ready. Let's
All right.
go.
So I guess we can just start off. Tell us a little bit about yourself. And again, thank you so much for joining. I know at the last minute, I was just like, hey, Jane, I want you to do this summit. I want you to do this thing, this online thing. I know you're not used to doing the digital space stuff, but I definitely value your knowledge and your expertise. So, yeah, tell us a little bit about yourself.
No, thank you. And anything for you, Rashana. I love what you're doing, especially online. I mean, I think you're the world of you. So you do what you do, girl.
Thank you.
I'll tell you guys a little bit about myself. I have pretty much eclectic background. I came from the world of entertainment, interior design, and travel. And I spent a few years flying as an air hostess with a major airline. From there, I decided I wanted to go into interior design, and I spent 10, 12 years of my life doing interior design. And from design, it kind of propelled me into the entertainment world. And that's pretty much my background and how I got started.
Okay, so as far as real estate, so you are breaking records. You know, you're selling multi-million-dollar homes in a very
That's
quick
true.
time frame. So, yes, in a very quick, turnaround record-breaking time frame. So tell us about those. You know, it can be from anywhere from how you are meeting the sellers. You know, how you're acquiring the listings, how you're selling them so quickly. Yeah, just tell us a little bit about those.
Well, pretty much the way I got started in real estate is I moved to Naples. I quit doing the entertainment industry. One, because I got married and I was traveling 7 months out of the year. And my husband was like, I don't think so. And he brought me to Naples, Florida. And I had my real estate license in Manhattan in New York City, and worked in real estate for a very short time right after interior design. But once I went into the entertainment business because of my clients, real short story, I had a football player client, and his wife was like, can you help me out doing something? And she was in the entertainment industry and asked me would I help her with, booking some gigs for her and getting her schedule together. And I was just like, I don't know anything about entertainment, but I'll give it a shot. And she kind of said something to me that stuck with me pretty much up until now. She said, Jane, it's all business. Don't get afraid of it. And I said, oh, okay. That's when the light bulb went off. So when I got to Florida, I thought, well, I'm out of the entertainment business. What can I do that I know? And I went right into real estate. And I started, actually, I've had my license for 8 years here. I've been in Naples, Florida for 10 years. So it's pretty much been a quick climb also. But I was just very proactive and organized, and it came from my other businesses. And, I conduct thorough research in real estate when I got here because I knew nothing about gated communities. This was a whole new planet for me. I mean, I'm a city girl. And here in Florida, it's all about the gated community. And I struggled in the beginning. I was selling, $150,000 listings. I got into the market when the market had just, completely collapsed in 2007, 2008. And again, a light bulb went off in my head. I said, you know what? If the market is down, it can't go anywhere but up. So I'll get in now. I'll struggle for the first 1, 2, 3, whatever years I have to, and I'll sell what I need to sell to stay, afloat, and hopefully I'll rise. Pretty much that's what happened. So actually, like I said, I was selling $150,000 properties, and I just knew that I could break into that market. And like I said, I stayed very proactive and completely organized, and I sat in what we call the pit at the time with the brand I was with, which actually was a Keller Williams, and I listened to all the agents there doing their deals and making it happen. And I just started figuring it out, asking questions and learning the contract inside and out, not stopping from there. And I realized I wasn't getting the traction that I wanted to, and I wasn't breaking into the higher end market. So I went from 150 to 250 to 350. And then I could think of, well, my God, how can I get to the 500 and the 700 and keep climbing? So like I said, I started listening to the other agents, and I started understanding. People kept saying the word expires. Are you not doing expires? Do you know how to do them? And I was like every other agent, new agent, expires. No, I don't know how to do that. Are you not on the phones? On the phones? No, I'm not on the phones. And then finally, I got on the phones. And when I got on the phones, I still really didn't understand how to capture the business, to be honest with you. And then once I realized that it was about prospecting and calling people, and it was no different than what I was doing in New York when I first started out in the entertainment business, I was like, okay, this is how you do it. So I started going after expired listings, and that was the golden egg for me.
Okay. So thanks so much for sharing that story. So what was your, I guess, first big listing after going after the expired listings when you were like, oh my goodness, it actually worked? What was that?
My first big listing was $1 million, I think $1.2 million. And I went on the listing appointment. I was scared to death. I remember sitting in the car going over, I remember sitting in the car going over scripts, thinking in my mind, oh my God, I can't mess this up. Do I have everything I need? Do I have my marketing plan of action? How am I going to open this conversation up? Not understanding that there were scripts that went along with this at the time. I was just winging it. And I went in and I pretty much sold myself and got the listing. And I'll tell you, when I walked out of the door, I knew I didn't have the contract in my hand, but I knew I had the listing. And it happens that way till this day. I don't ever walk out the door with the contract. I always get called back 30 minutes later or the next day, and they say, we decided to go with you, Miss Bond. And I don't like to pressure people. Here's the contract. Why don't you sign now? I don't do that. That's not my style. So when I got that first listing, I was so excited, and then I sold it. That was the beauty of that. And once I sold the listing, I took that and I ran with it. And I started sending out just listed cards. Just sold cards, and listed, 90 days, under contract in 90 days. I sent out that card, pending. Then I sent out the just sold card. And all of a sudden I had some traction. I had people calling me. And I thought, okay, this is nice. But I was still hitting the doors, hitting the pavements, hitting the phone. And that's how it all began. It was going after that first expired listing for me, and understanding that was a gold mine, because those are the people that needed my help.
That's great. So as far as, I guess we can back up a little bit, because you mentioned as far as, when you first got down to Naples, you went into a brand new market, not knowing anyone, not knowing any agents, not knowing even the neighbor next door. However, you succeeded, and you stayed persistent. So I love to talk about, as far as new agents or even current agents, how important it is in regards to knowing your market and your market statistics.
Oh, it's oh so important. You have to definitely conduct thorough research because when you do get the opportunity to go on a listing appointment, and we call it listing to live, when you go on that listing appointment, trust me, you are up against other agents, whether they're seasoned or new. If they're on top of their game and you're not, and you don't know your statistics, you don't know the market nor the community that you're about to sell in. You don't know anything about the clubhouse, anything about the turnover, anything about what has sold, what has listed, what's pending, uh, what the numbers are there, how many properties are in that community, then
Right.
you're not getting that listing. Because believe me, they're going to ask you several questions in reference to their community. And they want to know what you know about the community. What do you know about the school systems there?
Mm-hmm.
What do you know about the amenities? What do you know about the properties? What do you know, more importantly, about the builders that have built in that community? Do you know what the house is or who built the house?
Right.
So
Yeah.
these
Is
are the
there
questions that are going to be asked.
Right, absolutely. Is there a, I guess, like what way are you finding out? Like, is there a site? And I know there's a few out there. I believe like City Data is one of them, or that'll give
Mm-hmm.
you some stats about the area. As far as the school district or even the crime rate or whatever. Are there a few websites that you can just think of off top?
Well, here we go by Collier.com. We go by our public records here. We can find out anything. And if you're going on a listing that has been expired, there's information already in the MLS for you that's telling you about it. The schools are already listed. The agent, that happened to lose the listing or the listing expired, all her information is in there for you. You just go and check that, and then you make sure you check behind it. You need to know the fees that are in there also. You need to call the homeowners association, the masters association, the golf pro, if so, the golf membership people. You have to find out all that information before you go to that listing and be well equipped. So as far as the public site, yes, you can go to where I'm from here in Naples. I'm sure you can go to whatever the county is or what is where you're from. I would go to those sites first and check, and also check the MLS, check the listing.
Right.
And you can pull up the community. You can pull up the community online. All that information is public. You just have to do the work. You have to do the work.
Right.
The bottom line is don't be lazy. Do the work. Show up properly.
Exactly.
And that's what I think a lot of young agents fail to do. They don't show up properly. They see the pie and they say, wow, we can make all this money. Well, it's a lot of work. Real estate is a lot of work. It is not something to be played with. It's not a job that you can get into part-time. This is a full-time business, and you must be available for your clients.
That's right. That is right. So after knowing your market and knowing your stats, I love to talk a little bit about prospecting. You mentioned, door knocking and cold calling and, calling expired listings. I love to talk about that because there are some people who, in this day and age, they only want to build their business on social media, or they only, they expect their friends and family to make them wealthy, to think all their friends and family are going to buy from them. And, they don't go outside of that. And as a phenomenal, prestigious woman once told me, old school equals wealthy. Okay. So,
yes.
And that was Jane. That was Jane, by the way, who said that. But yes, tell us about that. That old school technique of prospecting or door knocking or expired listings or whatever it is, that you do to obviously build a successful business, but to also set yourself apart, and from your competitors in your market.
Well, my dad always told me there was nothing new under the sun, just a little twist to it. And that is so true. As far as door knocking, I did door knocking, trust me, and it's hot here. The humidity is 99.9 along with the temperature. And I always thought if I'm knocking on somebody's door and they see that I'm completely dressed in business attire and I'm knocking on their door and it's 99 degrees, I must be hard at work on my job. And they usually feel sorry for me and ask me to come in. I remember a gentleman let me in one day and he was talking. He said, it's really hot out there. Do you want to come in and have a glass of lemonade? And I said, no, I really wouldn't mind. I don't mind standing here talking to you, only because he was a man, and I was a little nervous about that. But then I call it what you want, my spidey senses told me he was okay. And I went in and we started talking. And he said, you know what, for you to be out here in this temperature, knocking on doors, sharing with me what you just did down the street. And what I usually do is if I get a listing in a smaller community, I'll knock 5 doors to the right, 5 doors to the left, and let them know I just listed this property. And, to my surprise one day, it really worked. That gentleman called me back a year later, that same gentleman, and I listed his property and sold it and bought another property from me. So door knocking does work. It just depends on the communities you're in, because sometimes you're not allowed to door knock, especially in the $1 million communities, anywhere from $1 million on up. They don't want you just walking up to their door. That's security. You got guards at the gate. You can't even get in there most of the time. And if you are in there, it's because you live in that community. As far as prospecting has been a wonderful tool for me. I was coached and taught how to prospect. When I tried to do it on my own, I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't know that there were systems and tools that existed to help me prospect the right way until later on in my career. And once I learned what those systems and tools were, meaning, understanding that they had dialer systems out there, understanding that they had data that would go right from my MLS into my CRM, and I could pick up the phone and have 2 or 3 lines calling people, 3 people at one time, and whoever picked up first, the other 2 would hang up, then I would be able to speak to them and just go right into my script. But it also comes along with knowing your script and knowing what you're going to say and being yourself when you talk to people. That is oh so important, because people can tell, they can detect everything. They can detect if you're in a bad mood, if you don't know what you're talking about, if you don't know your scripts, or you're robotic. Just be yourself, like you're having a regular conversation. I tell agents, I said, don't be afraid to pick up the phone. They get frustrated and they don't want to, hang in there until that light goes off, because once the light goes off and you have someone's attention, you're able to talk to them about what happened or what transpired with their listing and why it didn't sell. And most people really want to talk to you about it, but you must know how to open that conversation up with them. So that's what I do. And that's why I have found success with expireds. And I call it a gold mine, because I cherry pick who I want to call and why I want to call them. And I do my research. And I could not always do that. That came with experience. So, it's not an easy thing to get on the phone and be turned down and rejected. Rejection is, rejection can be, devastating for some, and people get on the phone and they freeze. But, if you're in this business, you have to have thick skin, and you have to be a good negotiator and understand what you're selling, especially if you want to break into that high-end market. Because those people, the wealthy, they like success because they are successful. And they're, you don't have to have the same lifestyle to understand the lifestyle or to understand the culture of the wealthy. A lot of people get that confused.
Right.
I was telling you, I had a friend, and it was so funny because he called me and he said, Jane, I just picked up this $5 million listing and I parked my car 2 blocks away. I said, well, you have a decent car. He said, well, I just didn't feel comfortable parking my car up in their home. And he said, really? He said, but you know what? I walked away with that listing. I said, oh my God. I said, that's the funniest story I ever heard. I said, I cannot believe it. Needless to say, he's driving a beautiful car today, but he was so ready to get that listing that he said, what? I'm not going to let anything stop me. And, a lot of the young agents, they get confused about, you need to dress for success also. You need to take pride in yourself. You cannot pull up in somebody's house, your car is dirty, or your customers get in the car and your car is filthy. or you haven't had a haircut. And not only that, you got to wear a suit. Men, they should wear suits. They don't have to wear a tie, but wear a beautiful suit. And, you know, it doesn't have to be the most expensive suit. If you don't have the clothes, buy the basics. The basics always work. And we all know that. And ladies, I have to say to my ladies, do not wear the clothes you go out and party in to the listing appointment. That doesn't work either, because these people, you're getting in front of these people and they're looking at you and sizing you up from head to toe. Head to toe. So you have to be very careful how you handle that. And not only that, you might be meeting somebody's mother, somebody's wife, somebody's husband. So you have to be appropriate. And that's so important for us.
Yeah, because they're definitely looking at you too. Absolutely. Even if they're not the sole decision maker, believe me, they're going to have an opinion.
Absolutely. And you have to deliver a polished presentation along with yourself being polished.
So with that being said, no, I'm sorry to cut you off, but no, you hit on that something really quick. The presentation. So you know, as far as even from this, like you said, the second you pull up, you know, you're on your presentation, you're presenting yourself. So I love that you hit on the fact of as far as what we dress. But I would love for you to touch on as far as the marketing presentation. When they do finally say, yes, you can come out to my home. You don't have the listing presentation yet, but what are you doing to prepare for those $1 million listing presentations that you're going on? That obviously you're not so nervous to go on anymore, but yeah.
Oh yeah, I was very nervous at times.
How are you preparing for those?
Like I said, I'm conducting thorough research on the property or properties. I'm delivering a polished presentation. I'm possessing all local market expertise. When I get there, you know, I know pretty much everything about the community, the area, the homeowners association, the master association, and down the line. I have a complete and clear plan of action. And trust me, I've spoken to them on the phone and we've talked somewhat about my plan of action, because they want to know what differentiates me from the agent that they had before and what am I going to do different. And sometimes I say to them, you know, it depends on what the agent did. If the agent did a lot, then I'll say, your agent, unfortunately, did everything she could do. When I come into play, I will do just as much as she did and even more, because my marketing plan of action is just a little bit different from hers. And that might cover me doing a drone throughout the whole entire house, you know, having the camera fly inside the house, you know, taking note of everything that's happening, all the appliances, you know, if it has a multiple staircase, if it has a beautiful glass wine cellar. It just really depends on the property, and then doing a bird's eye view. So I'm explaining all this to them. So when I get to the presentation, I have all of that lined up and, you know, in front of them. And I say to them, from start to finish, from 1 to 14, this is how your marketing plan of action will play itself out. And I will stay in touch with you each time we check off one of these. And then they have the whole plan of action in front of them. And before, you know, that whole plan of action that they have in front of them is completely branded. So that's another thing. My branding speaks for itself. And I think everyone that's out here, they have to brand themselves in a certain way to capture attention, to differentiate themselves. And that's what's important also. So that presentation must be indicative of what you're going to do for them. And you must keep your word, because guess what? They're watching every step of the way. And you must stay in touch with them. Communication is so important, especially when you're handling somebody's biggest investment, more than likely they're ever going to have, buying a property of that magnitude. And where I am, these homes are second, third, fourth, and fifth homes for some of these people. I spend more time in some of these homes than they have all year when I'm selling them.
Wow.
Especially if it's a $8 million to $15 million listing. Some don't even come for a whole year. So these people are, uber wealthy.
Right.
But let me back up a little. I have customers that I service also that have 250, 350, 500,000. I don't turn down a listing based on price. I turn down listings based on the shape they're in. If it's a luxury listing to me, in my eyes, and it's 300,000, I'm taking that listing because I want to represent that listing because it's a part of who I am also and my reputation.
Right.
So I don't turn down listings because they're not $1 million listing. I would love to have, $1 million listing every day, but I have to keep the pipeline filled.
Mm-hmm. Love it. Love it. Love it.
And so do these new agents to live.
Okay. What do you list to live, right?
Live to
So
live.
this
You have to live to live.
This is great. I'm over here taking, I'm taking notes, and I hope you guys are too. So I got proactive, organized, research, expired listings, no pressure selling, prospecting, coaching, marketing plan of action, branding, communication. I'm just jotting down, key words that I'm listening to you say that I'm like, this is awesome. This is great.
And guess what, Rashana? They have to know their own clientele and how to build rapport with them. Mm-hmm, communicate absolutely. And negotiate effectively, because if they don't do that, and if they act, kind of wimpy in front of the customer, they're going to think that's how you react when you get your offers in.
Right.
Because when the offer comes in, that's a whole nother ball game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Especially if you're up against a seasoned agent. Yeah. Mm-hmm. The conversation changes when you list high-end properties because you have seasoned agents that you're going to come up against. So you need to know your stuff. And if you don't know, if you don't know your business, you will be embarrassed. And if you don't, my advice to you is not to speak and say, I'll get back to you on that. That's my advice.
Basically, which is great advice, is probably the number one advice that all new agents should get. To be honest, I don't want to discount it because a lot of new agents go into listings not knowing a lot of things, myself included. And I learned early on. I learned early on, I'll get back to you, So, I learned early on. So, really quick, and then we'll be wrapping up soon. I love, like I said, I'm taking my notes. This is all great information. I want to just ask you two questions really quick. So as far as, you're taking on these $1 million listings, or you're taking on the $500,000 listings, or whatever the case, I know your business has to be booming because I see you, I'm seeing you on social media. I'm checking you out in Black Enterprise and Gulf Shore Magazine. I'm checking you out on Facebook and Instagram. How are you managing it all? The time management of it? How? Please tell us how. We want to know.
Well, yeah, time management is something else. I struggled with that for quite some time. And as I was growing, I was always trying to employ people to, support me or build my own team, so to speak. And that's not an easy feat because this business is all based on trust. And I've had quite a few people that I thought might have been a good fit, and they weren't. And just recently, in the past couple years, I've been able to bring on a couple young ladies that I find that are a good fit and understand where I'm going with my business, and are ready to take that journey with me. I started in the digital space a while ago, and that was a game changer for my business, to be honest with you. 3-4 years ago, I would say, no, about 3 years ago, I started getting on Facebook really tough, Twitter and LinkedIn, and I went on Instagram, but I kind of left Instagram and went back to Facebook because Instagram, I wasn't that familiar with what was going on as of yet. And I always thought it was for the young people. I was like, oh my God, here it is. I missed this whole, era. So I have to figure it out. And a lot of people, a lot of agents, especially older agents, they weren't used to being in the digital space or really even understanding social media. But I had joined social media when it was MySpace, and I understood it from an entertainment aspect. And then when Facebook came about, I thought, okay, here's the shift. So now I need to start presenting my properties and what I'm doing on Facebook. And the first thing I did was turn my personal page into a business page and start working it. And next thing I know, I started getting people coming to me and saying, oh, I saw your property on Facebook. Is it still available? I see that it's not under contract. And can I come and see it? And then agents started calling me. And before I knew it, my business started, I started having a duplicatable, repeatable business. And I thought, wow, this is really good. Yeah. And it was working. And I see a lot of agents struggling now, still to this day, trying to figure out, the whole digital platform. And they're just starting to get into it. And I see the older agents have struggled for the past year. And that's unfortunate because you had to really start that a while ago to really be in it. And, the Facebook ads they're doing now, you see them all over the place. And it's nothing worse than feeling like you missed the bus, you didn't get on the train when it was moving. So that helped me out a lot. And also, coaching. I have coaching, so that helps me organize my time because you can be all over the place and you cannot do this business alone. I'm up at 3 a.m. sometimes, still trying to work my business and do things, but I make sure I get some exercise in. I try to get proper rest, and I work mostly till about 7 o'clock at night. And I come home to my family and I have to turn it off. I have to leave it at the door sometimes because it can be, ongoing. And you can, as a young agent, you're out there, you're doing your thing. You're doing a lot more than a lot of people I know.
Yeah, I am. Thank you, Jane. Thank you so much. I appreciate that so much. And I hate that this interview is coming to an end because I'm still taking notes as we speak. I'm loving, you started out on social media, even if it was something that was foreign to you. Like you said, you were familiar with MySpace, but then you took the initiative to figure out, what else was going on, to see where people are and what they're doing. So that's so inspiring to just see, because so many people use it as an excuse. Oh, I don't have thousands of followers, so I can't be successful. I can't grow my business on social media. So it clearly is just an excuse. So yes. So with that being said, Jane has been so gracious to gift us with a freebie. I know you guys love freebies because I know I do. So Jane has been so gracious. And so really quickly, Jane, in less than a minute, if you can share with us your freebie and what it is about.
I decided to do a course on how to land your first $1 million listing. And
Woo!
I hope everyone's I hope everyone joins me on that one because it's so important to, get out there and try and make it happen because it's a lot of work, like I said. And I'm going to do this class on, I believe, March 12th. The class is hopefully, if you guys join me, I'm hoping you all come because it'll be a good class for everyone. The things you will learn is understanding the fluid, familiarizing yourself with the luxury culture, because there is a culture, and you should familiarize yourself with it if that's where you want to go, and that's where you should be wanting to go, and learn to position yourself and you land the listing every time. And also understand that when you walk through those doors on your presentation, it's an audition. So we call it showtime. And also it's showtime, baby. Get it together. And also, teach you guys how to network with other brokers at broker open houses, to network with top agents, because those agents will give you referrals and help you fill your pipeline. But they want to know who you are. So it's good to show up at those things. So we're going to talk about all those, all 5 of those bullet points, and hopefully I can get across to them, you know, how good it is to be in that market.
Love it. Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah. So I'm definitely gonna sign up, Jane. Like I will be front row and center. So where can I sign up?
You can sign up on my Instagram page, right in my bio. There's a link on bit.ly, bit.ly.com/forward land $1 million listing. It's on my bio, and you can find me at Lifestyle Living with Jane Bond.
Love it. So that's
with Jane Bond on my Instagram.
Instagram, Lifestyle Living with Jane Bond, and then bit.ly/land $1 million listing. Well, yes, I will definitely be there. Thank you so much, Jane, for joining us. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed all of these free nuggets. You are welcome. Thank you. Thank you. So make sure you guys tune in for our next interview. Make sure you guys tune in for our next interview. Thank you.
Thank you, Rashana. Thank you very much.